Good morning. I'm so thrilled to share with you about the BMA of Arkansas Youth Department. I really wish that I could be there with you today, but unfortunately, because of requirements at Midwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, I'm not able to be there. I'm currently working on my doctorate of ministry, and I am in a seminar as this airs today. It is important that I continue my education. I feel like all those in ministry should be continuing their education in one form or another, and this is a great opportunity for me. But unfortunately, I can't miss, so here I am sharing with you through this venue. Let me say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your director for the BMA of Arkansas Youth Department since 2016. These last 5 years, there's been a lot happen. A lot happened in our world as well as with the youth department. When I began the process in 2016, I had some very definite ideas of what I hoped to do and what we hoped to accomplish, and was shot down pretty quickly. That's unfortunate because I wanted to reinstitute the Encounter Conference. I wanted to see us have an event for students and thought this would be great. But as I talked with more people, that just really wasn't what people were hoping for, what they were looking for. And so I had to reevaluate. What did we want to do? What did we want to be? And as we looked more and more into it, I realized that there's a lot of great resources out there for student ministry workers, but they're often pointed at the large church, at the full-time guy. And there are so many of our churches that are represented by somebody who just loves students, that cares for them, and is volunteering in their student ministry. I'm a result of that type of mentality. I think back to my high school years at Springdale Missionary Baptist Church in Springdale, Arkansas. There were a lot of people that loved on me there. You see, my parents didn't go to church at that point. I just had a young lady invite me to church my sophomore year in high school, and then all of a sudden I realized I needed to be in church. I needed to be a part of what God was doing there. Well, during that time, there were a lot of people that loved on me, but I think specifically about Rick and Jody Priest. Rick and Jody were our youth directors. They cared very deeply for us in our youth group, our small little youth group of 6 to 8 on a good year. But they just cared about us, and they showed us Jesus and had us do all sorts of things. And today, many of those that are a part of that little youth group are involved in ministry full-time or in part-time basis. It's just great to see what God can do with the volunteer, the bivocational, the part-time youth ministry worker. And those are the people that we want to invest in. We want to invest it, of course, in those that are working full-time, but it is vital that we do that work, that we work with someone who might not find a voice otherwise, or might not find people that can pour into them. We want to be there for them. So as we transitioned in that 2017, 2018 year, we started seeing student ministry matters develop. And we started watching things happen in our work. And we had our very first student ministry workers retreat in 2018 at South City Church in Little Rock, Arkansas. It was a great event. We had 50 people there, and I think I counted everybody that was in the building. The janitor, the person who was directing traffic outside the building, everybody. They all counted that day. But then the next year, 2019, we had 80 in attendance at Central Baptist College. And then we had to go virtual like everybody else in 2020. Well, this last year at the 2021 event, we had 70 in attendance. And I was thrilled by that because, you see, that fits right in with who we are. Our Student Ministry Workers Retreat is about connecting student ministry workers. It's an opportunity for people to gather together one day and to share and to get to know one another and to be able to communicate. We do that other ways as well. We have our social media outlet, and Student Ministry Matters Community is our Facebook group where people can interconnect. They can talk with one another, share ideas, share concerns, get people to pray for one another. It is a community. And so we have seen growth in all sorts of areas with our social media. Our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, even our YouTube has gone up a little bit during that time. And we don't use some of those things, but it has been great to see that work. Because, again, Student Ministry Matters is about connecting student ministry workers. It's about continuing education, and it is about coaching. That's how we implement this idea of investing in those that are seeking to impact the next generation for Jesus Christ. With those things in mind, we had our Student Ministry Workers Retreat. That hits that continuing education and fits that connecting piece. But there's a couple other things that we do with our continuing education. We have a podcast, and as you may know, our podcast has been going since February of 2020. We've had some different people involved in it. Chris Vines is my consistent co-host, but I've also had Micah Powell and Zach Lee be a part of that team, and we interview a lot of different people. We've released about 85, 88 episodes, somewhere in that range. We've seen 6,500 downloads. It's just been fantastic to see how God has used this little podcast to reach out. Cool factor is that we have reached over 20 countries and 45 different states within the U.S. And so our reach, that continuing education piece, because we talk about all sorts of things, is happening day in and day out. Now we have something else coming up. It's called 222 Leadership. It is a way for us to invest very specifically in some people, and this will be launching in January. And so I'm excited about that, and I'll mention just a little bit more about that in a moment. Now, the other piece of our continuing education, our connecting, that last piece is coaching. And we have done that and continue to do that in the formal and informal ways as we work with student ministry workers. You know, I just want to thank you again for the ways that you've helped us. And I'm looking forward to what God is going to do in this coming year. Think about this. 2:2 leadership, taking off the 2 Timothy 2:2 passage where we're going to invest in faithful men, and we're going to be investing in student ministry workers in a very intentional manner. These are going to be very small groups. People are going to sign up for this. It's going to have 5 to 8 people. We're going to meet once a month online, so you don't have to be in the same town or same state even. And you're going to gather together. We will have read a book, done a little bit of a Bible study. We're going to come together, share what's going on, and then talk through that book. And it's going to be essentially a leadership boot camp for student ministry workers. And if you have a student ministry worker that would like to get involved, please have them reach out to me. info@studentministrymatters.com is the way that they can do that, because that group is going to fill up fast. I already have 4 to 5 that have said, yes, I want to be a part of it. I am willing to do 2 groups, and so we will aim for 2 groups, but that's it. So at the very most, we're going to have 16 people involved with it. It's just going to last 8 months. We'll meet once a month. So if you have questions, again, info@studentministrymatters.com. Well, the other thing I want to mention is that on September the 17th, 2022 is going to be our next Student Ministry Workers Retreat. It is a day-long event here at Central Baptist College. The good people of CBC have allowed us to meet and use their facility. We're going to have a speaker. We're going to have breakout groups. We're going to have food, a lot of giveaways. I try to give away as much as I can. I don't mind walking around saying, hey, would you like to help and give something towards it? And so, again, September the 17th, 2022, be sure and put that down on your calendar. Well, again, I just wanted to take a moment or two to share with you about our ministry and about what God has done and what God is doing. We are the small department for the BMA of Arkansas, but it is an important department. I feel that as we invest in students, it is some of the most important work that we can do. If we look at evangelism statistics, they will show us that at least 3/4 of those that accept Christ, 3/4 of those that accept Christ are doing that before the age of 21 in some of Barna's newest numbers. I think that's important for us to note. That means that we need to pour ourselves into those areas to to let people know about Jesus and to let students know about Jesus. And so our job is going to continue. We are going to continue to share with those that are seeking to impact the next generation for Jesus Christ. We're going to love on them. We're going to pour into them. We're going to help them as they seek to accomplish their work and their job. How can you help? Well, here's some very specific ways. Number one, you can help us by praying for us. Pray that God will continue to work in our ministry, that He will show us and guide us as we make decisions so that we will honor Him in everything that we do. It is very important for us to look to Him in everything. So be praying for direction for us, for guidance. Be praying that we will be very good stewards of the little that we have. Second is to consider giving to Student Ministry Matters or giving to the BMA of Arkansas Youth Department on a monthly basis. We have about 10 churches that give on an annual basis. That's it. We are stretching our dollar, seeking to make it happen, and I'm so appreciative of those churches. And whether they're giving 10 or they're giving over 200 a month, they make a huge difference in what we do. Now, there are other ways that you can support our ministry, but giving monthly helps us grow and helps us continue as we go forward. So, how else can you help? Well, you can become a patron of our podcast if you like that. If you're listening to our podcast, there's a way that you can even do that online. That helps in that process. But we have the Student Ministry Workers Retreat. I'm looking for churches that are willing to sponsor pieces of that event. I had a handful of organizations that were willing to put money down and say, here, we want to help you make this thing happen. And there were those that gave of things, and I'm so happy for that as well. But I need those that are willing to financially invest in that event. We want to keep the price low. We feel like it is a very important thing for our bivocational and part-time and volunteer student ministry workers to be able to go to an event and to be blessed by that. And so we would encourage you to help in those regards. So what else can you do? Talk to your student ministry worker. And whether they are just the youth Sunday school teacher or they are on staff at your church, have them connect with us. Make sure that they stay in the loop of what's going on in our group, in our association of churches. Because when we do these things together, God blesses. He wants us to work together. We are made for community. And I just want to encourage you to stay connected and have your student ministry workers connect with us. And they can do that in a variety of ways. They can be put on our email list, and that goes out every week as we release podcasts. But in other times, we send out information, and there's stuff on our table. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to serve in this capacity. Thank you for allowing me to invest in your churches and to help impact your churches by the work that we do. So thank you, and have a great meeting as we serve together. You know, we keep doing all of these things. I keep serving this way, and I'm going to keep serving this way as long as I can, because student ministry matters.